So, have you all heard of something called Vishwaroopam? Silja has heard, there was a Tamil movie called Vishwaroopam. 1, Vishwaroopam 2, right? So, Silja has definitely heard of Vishwaroopam. Anyone else has heard of Vishwaroopam? Jaya, remember Vishwaroopam? Okay. So, where have you heard Vishwaroopam? Okay. So, in the 11th chapter of Bhagavat Gita, okay, Krishna decides to show his Vishwarupa to Arjuna. Right? Till that time, Arjuna was thinking that Krishna is my friend and all that. Okay, he might have a little bit of more knowledge than me, but he's my friend. So that was the understanding Arjuna has about Krishna. And then Krishna shows Arjuna the Vishwarupa in the 11th chapter. Now, what is this Vishwarupa? Anybody remembers that sight of Vishwarupa? So, in Vishwarupa, you are seeing Krishna with thousands of hands, thousands of heads, thousands of eyes, and all that. Now, what does this symbolify? Thousands of hands, thousands of eyes, thousands of heads. Right? It is a magnificent view, right? It's totally magnificent, or it can be terrorizing also for some people. It's how you look at it. If you see somebody with 1,000 heads, my God, I will say you might get afraid. Some people will say, oh my God, this is God. And so different perspectives. But what does this symbolify? 1,000 hands, 1,000 heads, thousands of eyes. Silja, any idea what does this symbolify? Okay, let me ask you something. What do you understand by space? What do you understand by space? So if I ask you what you understand by space, Jaya will say that, oh, okay, between Jaya and the screen there is space, right? Between Silja is looking seriously into the screen, so between Silja and the screen there is space. So we see space around us. Right? Now, what you have to understand is that space is there inside us also. You have got millions of cells within your body, and each of these cells are alive. Right? And each of the cell is separated by space. Each of these cells in your body is separated by space, and we are not realizing that. But all of these cells are held together by some kind of a consciousness, intelligence, whatever you call, force field. Right? All of these cells in our body sorry, lost connection. Can you hear me? Okay. So all of these cells in our body are held together by a universal consciousness or some kind of a force field. The same way, what separates you from me, Silja from me, Archana from me, Jaya from me, or from each other? What separates all of us? What separates all of us is again space. Right? What separates again from all of us is space. But all of us are held together by a force field. universal consciousness, or what we call as Krishna consciousness. Right? And that is what is represented by the universal form of Krishna called Vishwaroopam. That means that all of us are within Krishna. Right? Thousands of hands, thousands of heads. So every one of us is actually part of Krishna itself or himself. You can call it him or it, or so that is what is being represented by Vishwarupa. When we say 1,000 hands, 1,000 heads, it is all of us within Krishna. So Krishna is nothing other than all our consciousness put together. It's called the universal consciousness, and that is represented by Krishna. And these theories have been written thousands of years back by our rishis. Now our scientists are creating or trying to understand something called space-time continuum. Right? So if you do a search on Google, you will find what space-time continuum is. Relativity of space and time, all of this. Okay, we will dig a bit more deeper into it tomorrow. Okay, about space and time continuum. And what is amazing and what continues to amaze me is that our rishis had written it down thousands of years back. Science still trying to explain how space works, how time works, right? Even now. But our rishis had written it down thousands of years back. Right? So when you talk about that space, merging of space, or merging of all of our consciousness together into Krishna, is the state of yoga. Right? So what we are trying to achieve with yoga is eliminating of space between you, me, and all of us, at merging into the Krishna consciousness. This is what we are trying to achieve with yoga. Right? We will dig a bit more deeper tomorrow into space time continuum. So we talked about space. Tomorrow we'll talk about time. Right? Dimensions of space we talked about. Tomorrow we'll talk about time. That is also explained in Vishwaroopam. Okay. So I'll catch up with you tomorrow, same time.